How much do you believe in silver? If you had $150,000 in cash in the bank right now, how much silver would you buy at $23.28 if you quote unquote believe the shiny is so undervalued? So the truth is, I get questions like that all the time. People wondering how much I actually believe in silver. And so what I'm gonna do in today's video is answer that comment, as well as quite a few others that I've gotten from you guys over the last couple of weeks. So if you want to see some awesome questions and some of my answers for them, make sure you stick with us, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos. Make sure you don't miss out on your chance to win a full monster box of Silver Eagles by going to our sponsor sdbullion.com/silverseeker and get your entry today. All right, so I have 8 different awesome comments lined up from you awesome viewers. A huge thank you for leaving comments and liking my videos, because it really does help YouTube promote them to others. So thank you for doing so. And leave a comment on this one and the next one, and who knows, you'll never know when you will be the next comment picked. But anyway, this one comes from Boss Tone, and I liked all of this comment, so I'm going to read the whole thing. But actually, the reason I picked this comment is just because of the last part of it. So Boss Tone says, I usually don't even look at Eagles because of the premium, and I've said that many times that the premium on Eagles is too high, so I totally understand. He says, I just picked up 5 CMLs for 27 a pop instead. CML, by the way, is Canadian Maple Leaf. He says, I have no doubt that if I bought a tube of Eagles, I could talk them into selling for $600 to $620, which would be $30 to $31 per coin, given that there's 20 in a tube. So never think that just because you buy a little at a time that you aren't important to their business. In fact, you'll stand out more than a guy who makes one 6-digit transaction, because they'll slowly get to know you, and the other guy probably won't ever be back again. I've said it before, it's about relationships. Now this is where, after that part, this is where we get into the reason that I picked this comment. He says, having said that, I wonder if the walk-in offer would be more than the call-in offer. Offering a lower amount is easier if you don't have to look someone in the face, and they may agree to that price anyway. I kind of get it. So this is the part I kind of disagree with, and don't get me wrong, you might be right in some instances, but I think overall, you're actually more likely to get a better offer on the phone than you are in person, and let me tell you why I think that is that way. So when you're calling around to different coin shops on the phone, shops generally know you're probably calling around, and so they want to offer you a higher price because they want you to go in. When somebody walks into a shop and they hand 20 Eagles across the counter and say, hey, what can you give me for these? And the shop may offer them, $500, and the person's like, ooh, $500, I'll take it. Not even knowing that they could just go down the street and get 600 or 700 or whatever it may be. And, it's basically laziness. And I'm not saying everyone's lazy, but I've, in my past, been known to be like, all right, yeah, that's fine. I know I could drive farther and get a little bit more, but I don't want to, or I don't know that I can, or I'm just too lazy to, or whatever it may be. My point being is that, shops know that once you're in the shop, you're more likely to make the transaction, especially when it's cash being offered to you. So if you walk into a shop, you're already there. They don't need to convince you to come to them. Right? They don't need to convince you to come in. You're already there. So all they have to do is make the offer sound like it's a great offer, and then you take it, not knowing, like I just said, that you could go down the street and get a lot more. So like I said, you could be right. I don't know. But I would imagine, and in my experience even, not just I could imagine, but in my experience, you actually get better offers over the phone because of that reason. So Boss Tone, great comment. Thank you so much for leaving a comment and watching my videos. Next up, this one comes from a very old YouTube short, actually. So, the 1 minute or shorter videos, I've been doing more of those lately. HVAC says, what's the name? Why are you protecting the shop and not the consumer? So in this video, this was from a video I did a long time ago, about 90%. I had called a shop that offered me really low for 90% for what the market was at the time. And their reason for it, when I asked them why, their reason for it was, well, because they sell it for, whatever it was, a low, I don't remember the exact details, but basically they told me that they sell it for a number that in my experience was probably also lower than the market. So a lot of you had commented and said I should call that shop back. So I did, but I did it in I just updated in a YouTube short what happened. When I called that shop back, they told me a way higher number than what they told me when I called and told them I was trying to sell, and then asked them why they were selling, or why they were paying so low. So I don't know what the numbers were. I haven't watched the video in a long time. I don't remember. I do so many videos. But for example, when I told them I was selling, they offered me, 18 and said the reason they only pay 18 is because they only sell it for 20. And then I called them back the next day and asked, totally different voice, what are they selling it for? And they said 25. And so they lied. That was the point. The point wasn't about, businesses, they do what they do. But that shop just flat out lied to me. And so anyway, HVAC, he says, why are you protecting the shop and not the consumer? Well, remember, and I've said this in many videos before, and I don't want to be held liable for somebody getting harassed because of my videos. So I specifically hide I change the voices when I call shops. I hide their location and their name. It's about educating the consumer. So in this case, I'm not actually protecting the shop. I am protecting the viewer. And it's not directly, but it's by showing them the importance of calling around and shopping around and knowing how to call shops, how to deal with shops, how to ask for prices, and what you should be expecting for the time that, for the current market, I should say. So, if the current market right now is saying that you can sell Eagles for 5 over spot, and then you call a shop that offers you less than spot, like I did just the other day, not to go to that shop. I mean, think about it. This one coin shop is probably in range of less than 1% of my viewers. So for 99.9% or 99.5% of my viewers, it doesn't matter. They wouldn't go there anyway. But now, especially for the newer people into this industry, they know better than to go to shops like that at all. So thank you, HVAC, for watching and commenting. I definitely appreciate it. Next up, this one comes from Is Silver Selling? I was at the coin show in Tulsa, Oklahoma last week. We had a blast. Actually, it was a week and a half ago now. But either way, Main Street Silverback. This question right here, I don't know if he was like trying to call people out, call me out, or if he really was genuinely curious. I don't know. But he says, how much do you believe in silver? If you had $150,000 in the bank right now, how much silver would you buy at $23.28 if you believe the shiny is so undervalued? So I actually responded to him, but the truth of the matter is I always talk about how important it is to make sure you have emergency funds, reserve cash, and how silver isn't going to be the most important thing, especially in a instantaneous financial collapse, if you will. So my response to him was this, assuming that I'm 100% out of debt, assuming that I already have my emergency fund, I like to say 6 months to a year, covering all of your bills plus food, water, etc. Having all of that money aside, assuming that all my ducks are in a row in regards to debt, in regards to having, my insurance fund or my emergency fund of U.S. cash aside, because that's what we use in society in this country, I would probably put half of it, if not more, in silver. But I also do invest in things like tech stocks and others. I've talked about this before. So I would probably put a portion of it into the stock market, but I would put at least 50% of it likely into silver. And then the rest of it after the stocks plus what I would put into silver, I would probably just put on top of my emergency fund just to build it up a little bit more. So if you were trying to call me out, there's my answer. My answer is yes, I absolutely would. If my ducks were in a row, put, a lot of it into silver, a lot of it into gold. So this one comes from TJMMCD1. Very good comment. TJ, thank you so much. I just wanted to share this with you. This video right here, this one is from Are You Lying? It's a video where I talked about, videos on YouTube, interviewing coin shops and coin shop owners and things like that. Many people said that, why would you ever interview a coin shop owner? Obviously they're in it for themselves. They're always going to tell you to buy silver. And I actually have said, I've known many instances in my life where coin shop owners have specifically told me that now is not a good time. They think the market's going to go down, wait, etc., etc. There's a lot of coin shop owners out there that are also stackers themselves, and they like to be as honest as they can with the people coming in because, one, they're stackers also, but two, they know how to keep them coming back. So anyway, this is a great comment. TJ says, case in point, over a decade ago, I was in a financial bind and I had to sell 2 1-ounce gold Eagles that I inherited for some immediate cash. At the time, I didn't know any better and called a local pawn shop to see what they would pay. The owner actually told me that I should sell them to a coin shop as I would be losing money by selling them to the pawn shop. God bless that man. He could have easily made money off of my ignorance versus pointing me in the right direction. It goes to show you that there are still good, honest people in the world today. There's not a whole lot to add to that comment other than just like coin shops, there are some good pawn shop owners. That being said, I think there's a higher disparity between good and bad pawn shops as there are good and bad coin shops. In other words, there's a lot more crooked pawn shops than coin shops. But there are crooked in both industries. It's just how many, how much, what's the percentage, who knows. But great comment. I wanted to share that with you guys. Next up, so this one comes from Walter Swanson. He says, I'm sure videos like yours help. And by the way, this was on my exposed video, which did not do as well as I thought it would. Very good video. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link down below. But this video was talking about the fake Silver Eagle scams on Facebook, and specifically one in general that I called out that had tons of comments from people saying they were going to pick them up, but also had a lot of comments from people that were calling them out, which was very, very refreshing to see that the people seeing this ad knew it was a scam. But there's a lot of people that are getting scammed as well. You should check out the video. But anyway, Walter says, I'm sure videos like yours help, but I'm also sure that there are still others being scammed in many other ways with those fake eagles. It's a shame the government can go after people who counterfeited American money, but they can't stop the fake coins from China and elsewhere from being sold through social media, online, through ads, and TV. Walter, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, we talk about the TV ads all the time, and at least the ones that are on TV have the word copy stamped into them. You know, they don't say that very well on the TV because they want people to buy them thinking they're real, but at least they are stamped copy. At least, you know, even if it's for a small portion, like, you know, 1% of the ad, at least it says clad or fake or not real or whatever it may be. You know, even though they're showing the gold price as well, you get the point. We've done it before. Videos are out there if you want to see them. But the worst part is things like this. Like, for example, this one on Facebook. These were being marketed as proof Silver Eagles straight from the U.S. Mint. Just straight from the U.S. Mint, box and papers and everything. And, you know, although there were a lot of people calling it out as fake, there were also a lot of people saying, I'm going to pick some of these up for my grandkids. And what happens? Well, these get into their grandkids' stack and they think they have something and it turns out that they don't. Or even worse, you know, a scammer picks them up and then goes out and tries to sell them for just slightly under market value. So somebody thinks they're getting a good deal, but they're not buying a scam because it looks like a real number, right? It looks like a real, you know, what it would really cost. You're just getting a good deal because someone wants to get rid of it, right? It's really unfortunate. But if you think about it, Facebook, these are ads. These are sponsored ads on Facebook. Facebook is 100% complicit. They're actually they are making a profit off of the sale of fake U.S. currency. U.S. Silver Eagles are U.S. currency. They are $1 face value, making it illegal on a federal level as counterfeiting to counterfeit and sell them. And yet Facebook is making money off of these. It's ridiculous. And I wish I agree. I wish something could be done about it, but clearly, I don't know. I guess they don't care. We just need to keep on keeping on and keep showing people what to look out for. Next up, this one comes, we go back to the video where I was talking about coin shops and coin shop interviews. Richard Metcalf says, coin shops are like any other shops. There are shops of all sorts that I wouldn't do business with or some restaurants I wouldn't eat at. If you are fortunate enough to have a lot of coin shops in your area, it really doesn't take long to weed out the bad ones. So, Richard, you're 100% right, and we won't stay on this comment long, but remember, if you have a lot of coin shops near you, call them all, get to know them all, find out what their prices are on average. You'll know which ones to work with really quickly and know which ones to avoid just as quickly. So, just do a little bit of homework, and yes, Richard, I agree with you 100%. And on that same one, I want to point out on this comment that this is actually the second portion of his comment. I just, used Photoshop to get rid of the first half because the second half is what I wanted to focus on. Right and Reaper 562, he says, every LCS in my town is cutthroat and has such an ample supply of idiots available to screw that they don't bother to even small talk you before they try and stick it to you. And if you want fair, you can take a hike. So in other words, if you want a fair offer, you can take a hike and get out of there. Because they have so many idiots coming in and selling it to them way too cheap or whatever it may be. And then he says, sold some BU war nickels to a pawn shop for a price that was fair to both of us recently, and it was a good experience. I then offered a tube of ASEs, and they told me they would only give 80% of spot. 80% of spot for American Silver Eagles. I politely declined their offer, but there must be a lot of people out there who would take it because it was a confident offer. In other words, they were very confident in offering 80% of spot for American Silver Eagles. That's brutal because I did that video I just talked about earlier the other day of the person who offered me less than spot, a coin shop, not even a pawn shop, a coin shop that offered me less than spot for Silver Eagles over the phone. But that's brutal. 80% of spot, that just shows you where not to go. He got a good deal selling his war nickels. I don't know why. Maybe the pawn shop sells the war nickels for way more than they're worth. I would imagine, in fact, that they probably sell war nickels for 2 or 3 times what they're actually worth. People come in, they see them in the showcase for, oh, this nickel's from World War II. It's made of silver. 35%, by the way. $5. Yeah, we'll take one of those. It's a really good souvenir. So actually it kind of makes sense. Whereas somebody who doesn't know anything about silver, they see a Silver Eagle and then you see a $35 price tag on it. They're like, nah, I'm not taking that. $35 is too much money. But $5 for a souvenir makes more sense. So I kind of get it. All right. But yeah, stay away from places like that. Easy peasy. And on to our last comment. This one comes from Check Stacker. This video was over a month ago. It was about some people having regret because they put too much of their money into silver and didn't put enough of that emergency cash fund aside, like I said, which meant that they had to sell silver at an inopportune time because they needed money to pay a bill, to cover an expense, an emergency, whatever it may be. Check Stacker says, he says, metals can be volatile and a long-term strategy is important. While visiting my LCS, I have seen folks selling back recently purchased metals at a loss. Sadly, several were FOMO purchases that needed quick liquidation for other expenses that were totally foreseeable. That is so unfortunate because I talk about things like that all the time on this channel. I already talked about it in this video, so we're not going to re-deep dive into it, but make sure that if you're putting money in silver, it's money that you have above having money aside for, you know, financial unexpected occurrences. 6 months is what I like to tell people to try and do if you can. Do your best to get out of debt. I mean, having a home loan is one thing, having a car loan at a low interest rate is one thing, but credit card debt needs to go before you even think about putting money in the silver. At least, and keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor, but at least in my opinion. I'm certainly no financial advisor by any means. I make no claims to be so, and make your own financial decisions. But if it were me, I would absolutely have all my credit card debt paid off and any high interest loans paid off before I'd even consider putting money into silver. And then after that, I would also make sure that I have my emergency fund in place so this doesn't happen. You don't want this to happen. So that is what I had for you today, guys, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned a little bit from the comments as well as my responses to them. If you did, leave a comment down below and let me know. Additionally, do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Help us continue to grow the channel. We are on our way up to 150,000 subscribers. That is mind-blowing. Wow, thank you so very much for that support. And you guys are awesome. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Check out this one above if you haven't done so yet, and have a great rest of your day.